So now we are going into the define phase in detail. Okay. So previously, what you have seen in the yellow bell is the surface level of the define phase. Okay. We are all the other information. Last time I had a query, right? That's some of the concepts having doubt since it is not explained in detail. Am I right, guys? Am I right? Nobody's giving.
Sir, your voice is not clear. It's a little bit feeble.
Yes, sir, very low.
Check the input. Is it okay now? Is it okay now or just no input?
Yes, it's okay,
Yeah,
sir.
better.
Now
It's okay. Okay. So in the last week, some of you have some feedback about the define session, right? So today we will get deep into the define session. Are you guys okay with that? Yes, no? No answer, nobody. Yes, okay. Mahesh,
Yes, we are okay.
Okay. So first we are going to see what are the steps involved in the define phase and what is the main outcome we have to get out of the define phase. Okay. First we are going to see that. Okay. So what is present in the define phase? You might have already seen this in the yellow belt level. Okay, first we are going to identify the project. What we are going to do is, guys, first we are going to identify the project. Why we have to identify the project? Because a lot of problems is existing. See, a project is an opportunity to execute, to resolve a problem. Guys, when I said project in Six Sigma, project is a opportunity to resolve a problem. So obviously it is problem identification. So lots and lots of problems are present in many departments, divisions, and process. So our job is to identify that. Right? For example, production, quality, recruitment, HR, policies, then procurement, inventory, logistics, supply chain management, all these things, all this process, if you'll get into it, you might find a lots and lots of problems. So our first job is to identify the problem. Then which problem could be solved? Which one should be solved? You cannot solve all the problems, right? You don't have the resource or the time to resolve all the problems. So you have to choose the right problem, which might help your organization to grow. Simultaneously, it should help the organization. It should encourage the organization to reach the long-term goal also. That is how you have to select the project. Remember, when you are selecting the project must be selected in keeping the long-term goal also in mind. Got it, guys? That is how you have to select the project. See, that is why if you execute this project, the organization step towards a long-term goal also should be progressed. That is what we are trying to do here. Then at the end, we are going to finalize the project charter. What is the project charter? Project charter is just a report. It is a report. Okay, it is having 6 important components. We are going to see that in detail. Okay, and after that, there is a high-level process map. Why there is a high-level process map? See, it helps you to understand the various activities that is present in the particular process. See, you have selected to do the project in a particular process, in a particular division or department. So we are going to, our team is going to identify the various activities which are present in the particular process so that they'll be able to get a clear picture, clear idea about that particular process. So at the end of the defined phase, you must have a project selected and it must be approved in the report by the top level management and followed by you must have a high level process map which will help you to get a clear view of the various activities that is happening in the process or you will be able to get a bird's view of the various process that is various activities that is happening in the process. So that is what we are going to do in the define phase. So what are the tools that is going to help you to get this job done, to execute these steps? It is a VOC. You might have learned about this, right? It is a VOC, VOB, fast of poor quality, then critical to quality tree, Pareto, Y is equal to F of X, brainstorming, Kano models. All these things will help you to get this job done. That is, identify the project. So identification of project is given a lot of emphasis because if you choose a wrong project which is not going to give uh, the organization the required growth, and at the end it is a waste of resources ultimately. So in order to avoid that, sufficient importance is given to the selection of right problem to resolve. Okay, so starting from voice of customer, voice of business, all these things help you to choose the correct problem which is required, which should be resolved, which is creating a lot of problem for the um, organization, process, customer care, customer. Okay, and ultimately it must be also contributing towards the progress of the organizational long-term goal. Okay, guys. Now, what about the project selection? You are having some Pareto chart. You are having project prioritization matrix also to help you to get this job done. That is project selection. Then project approval. See, the project has to approve by the top management, right? That can be done when you create a project charter. The project charter is a format. Okay, it is a report which will be having all the required informations, significant informations about the particular problem which you have selected, and the scope, the goal statement, the manpower which is required, the timeline needed for resolving the project. Finally, I spoke about the high level process map. The high level process map is called the SIPOC. Okay, that is, it is an acronym. That is, S stands for supplier, I for input, P for process, O for output, and C for customer. That is called SIPOC. So when these tools will hold good when you are going to use the DMAC for the problem, when you are trying to resolve the problem which is existing in a product or service or machinery or system, okay, or in a process. But when you are trying to develop a new product, or when you are trying to identify a product which is in the design stage, or in the development stage, or in the survey stage, or in the process level stage, okay, production, or in the planning stage, then you have to go for DMAD-DB. That is define, measure, analyze, design, and verify. The last two letters stands for design and verify. Here you can see you can use different set of tools like identifying the cost of quality, Kano model, QFD, quality function deployment, a very interesting tool, Powerwing, and other similar and relevant tools. Okay, this is how you will be able to execute the steps without any much difficulty. Okay, now how to identify the project? See, project identification is a crucial process because, as I already said, identifying the right project will help you to get the process in the right track. Okay, and your profit might increase, your revenue must expand, customer satisfaction might increase. Ultimately, the quality also has to improve, and the continual growth also is in process. Finally, it must be in synchronization with the organizational long-term goal. That is essential. The master black belt important task is to ensure that the problem which you choose must be in synchronization with the organizational long-term goal. Okay, so now let us go and see how to identify the voice of the customer. The voice of customer is one of the important tools which will help you to identify the projects or the problem. Okay, so normally the voice of the customer is the who is the customer, guys? The one who receives the end product or the service. Okay, so normally the voice of the customer, okay, is refers to the external customers also. The voice of the customer refers to the external customers. That is the one who uses your product directly. Okay, one who uses your process directly. Okay, or one who receives your service directly. Okay, and also there is a set of customers called internal customer. Okay, that is, for example, the procurement department. They may be procuring or purchasing the raw materials and giving it to the production department. So that is, in that case, in this case, for the production department becomes a customer for the procurement department. So this is what do you mean by the internal customers? See, Joseph Joan, one of the quality gurus of the total quality management, introduce this concept of internal customers. If you treat your process owners, if you are able to identify the internal customers and if you are able to satisfy them, obviously that will lead to the increase in the quality. That is what he tried to promote. Okay, so the voice of the customer is mostly connected with the process effectiveness. What do you mean by process effectiveness? That is your ability to identify the perceived customer requirement. Okay, when you vary from that perceived customer requirement satisfaction, there is a defect. So the VOC is always connected with the process effectiveness. What is also the effectiveness also means you have to provide the requirement of the customer in the right manner. Okay, doing the right things. Okay, so this is how the voice of the customer, okay, is collected. The voice of the customer is collected in different formats. The voice of the customer is collected in different formats. Warranty call, guarantee call, feedback, surveys, many different means. Okay, next we come to the voice of the business. What is the voice of the business? That is, not only the customer is a source of identifying the problems which is existing in your process, also the problems which are being faced by different departments. Okay, for example, if you go and check with the production department, they might be give you a lot of problems. If you go check with quality, they will give you a lot of problems. If you go and develop with program developers, they will give you lots and lots of issues. Similarly, you can go and collect the list of problems from different levels in the business, different levels in the organizations. So problem indeed exists in the organization itself. So why can't you go and collect it? You go and meet the different team leaders, managers, head of the departments, the chief executive officers, the chief production people. Okay, so all of them will be giving a list of problems. Okay, so VOC is one way, is one another way of collecting the problems. So VOB is concerned both about the process effectiveness and process efficiency. Why? Why VOC is concerned about process effectiveness alone? Because customer is least bothered about how much resource you use to manufacture or provide that service. He is least bothered about how much money you use, how much money, how much money you use for generating or providing that service or product. But in the case of VOB, voice of business, we have a concern, right? We have a concern about both the money as well as the effectiveness, that is the customer satisfaction. So VOB is connected with both efficiency as well as organizational effectiveness. Okay. Okay, so here is a list of VOC. Okay, customers complain about long queue time and queue times for loan approvals. Okay, so this is connected with the streamlined processing, document verification, and automated approvals. Okay, so there is an opportunity for doing the lean project. Okay, suppose take a hospital. The patients may mention that long waiting times for lab results. So obviously you have to develop a project which can provide automated laboratory informations for faster reporting. Okay, let us go to logistics and shipping. Customers mentioned delay due to inefficient route planning. So let us go and introduce an a new program which uses AI for optimizing the routes to deliver the products faster. So similarly, you can pull up lots of VOC, okay, from different sectors to identify the projects. Let's go to hospital, uh, hotels. Person says housekeeping service is inconsistent and delayed. So implement digital housekeeping, scheduling, and tracking. Okay, so many such problems can be identified through VOC. So VOC is one of the best sources of identifying the voice of the customer. Okay. So either how to convert that into a Six Sigma project. So the first one is we have the customer complaints about lab errors. For example, let us take the hospital. Yeah, the lab errors are causing wrong reports about the patients. So reducing lab testing errors is a Six Sigma project. So you must have a goal or the uh, that is a performance indicator which has to be the error rate, which has to keep the error rate below zero point 0.6 or 0.1. Okay, so the lean project which can be executed here is to reduce the bottlenecks and to provide a proper workflow to reduce the waiting time for reports. So along with Six Sigma, you can include the lean projects and you can get the job done. So obviously the errors also will be eliminated, which is concerned with patients, that is process effectiveness, and also the waiting time will also come down. That is connected with the lean. Similarly, if you check into the banking sectors, financial services, there is a possibility of incorrect loan disbursements. So how to avoid this kind of problem? Okay, reduce errors in loan processing. See, we have to reduce the errors which may uh, reject the loan for the customers, or which may agree the law, which may provide acceptance for the customers with no proper credentials. So you have to reduce both the errors. So the important goal which you have to set is the percentage of error rate and the customer complaints percentage. So, but convert that into digital work so that paperwork and approval cycle time using lean. See, you can reduce the paperwork by providing approvals in the digital platform in the software. Then, by doing so, you are reducing the transformation movement of paper from one table to another, and obviously that is a reduction in the time. In the meantime, the workflow also has to be optimized. So similarly, let us take one more interesting example that is from a insurance delay in claiming processing. Okay, suppose a person has met with an accident, right? The family will be claiming the financial benefits from the life insurance. So at the time, if there is a delay, that will deeply affect the family. So in that case, we have to reduce the processing cycle time. Okay, so the cycle time reduction must be in days. Earlier it may be 15 days. Now they can reduce it to 10 days or 7 days, whatever is possible for them. Then what can be done in case of lean? Unnecessary over processing of documents, that is eliminating unnecessary steps, approvals in the workflow can be eliminated so that the activity can be carried out quickly and the claim process can be made easier and quicker. Okay, so this is how you can identify a lot of projects through VOC. Then what is this VOB? See, already we have spoken a lot about it. See, the VOB defines the needs, wants, and expectations of the business. See, not only the customers have problem, guys. Every business process has in-depth problem. See, all of you from different fields, different sectors. See, if I come to you and ask what is the problem in the organization, in your plant, in your division, in your department, you'll be coming with the long queues, long data list. Okay, so VOB also needs to be addressed. Okay, it may be expressed in terms of the um, profit and loss ratio, P&L account. Okay, or it may be the increase in the stock price or the loss in the stock price. So all these things are connected with the VOB. See, for example, recently I had a survey report that before 2 years, the attrition rate of top uh, four MNCs in India, especially the software giants like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, and TCS were very high. Actually, they have a data like the TCS attrition rate was around 5%, whereas for CTS it was 15%, and the total employee strength of Infosys was around uh, nearly 2,69,000. And imagine what is the attrition number? Nearly 40,000 people have left CTS in 1 year. That could seriously affect the organizational project progress. And the project may be delayed, and they will not be able to deliver any project as per the customer, as per the date, delivery time, which they have assured earlier. So lots and lots of problems may be created by the voice of business also. You need to identify that, and that also can be executed as a project. Okay, so that the process effectiveness as well as process efficiency should grow, should improve. Okay, so voice of business is also one of the major areas where you can identify a list of problems for resolution. That is called as project. Okay, now if you look deep into the voice of the voice of the customer is not generally clear or not generally in detail. There is no technical information. No customer will call and give a very correct, detailed technical explanation. So what you have to do? Actually, the voice of the customer will be an expression or will be a statement or will be just a dissatisfaction nod, something like it. So you have to convert this voice of the customer into a understandable, okay, specific, measurable data. So when it comes to customer feedback, he'll be saying just good, bad, or some kind of expression or some kind of comment, or even nowadays some kind of emoji also. So our job is to convert that into that voice of customer into a measurable, specific, and understandable data, so that we are able to identify what is the main primary problem that is existing in the process. Okay. So when it comes to voice of the customer, we have two types of system. One is voice of the customer reactive system, and one is voice of the customer proactive system. Okay, what is this voice of the customer reactive system? Okay, actually, how many of you have called the banks and appreciated them for a service? Anybody? Guys, what happened? Are you guys online? How many times in your life have you called the bank service and appreciated the service? Vijay Pandian said no. Okay, that is real. How many times have you called and complained about the service?
Many times.
Many times. So that is a reactive system. A reactive system, we call the customer executive, we call the service provider, we call the one who provides you the product, we call the dealer, the service center, and complain about the product or the machinery or the process or the one which they do. That is a reactive system. In the reactive system, the customer goes to the product provider or service provider. Okay. So at the time, most of the times, the customer will be angry, will be irate, will be irritated by the service provider when it comes to reactive type of VOC. So when you provide a service, the service is not good. So that customer will react in a negative way to the particular service. That is a reactive system. That information comes to the organization. Okay, the information is sent. The customer calls the company to provide a feedback about the wrong product, wrong service. Okay, that is reactive system. What is proactive? You go to the customer end in advance after supplying a product or after providing a service, and you collect the information feedback about the service in advance. So customer might be not dissatisfied that much, even though there might be a problem. Even before the customer comes to your doorstep, if you approach him and collect the details, customer will be a bit satisfied because he might be thinking the organization is trying to get the problem resolved. Okay, They came. If you go and if you go voluntarily and try to identify the problems in the customer end. That is proactive system. That is, you call the customer, your company calls the customer and tries to find out whether there is any problem with the service or the product which they deliver. That is a proactive system. Okay, now when it comes to reactive system, what is the information available? It's getting started. Okay, this is proactive system. System one, I think it's one slide. Reactive. Okay, this is proactive. What are the types of proactive UOC through which we can collect the data? Interviews. You go and have an interview with the customer, one-to-one interview or group interviews, focus groups. That is, you have a group of people and who is trying to deliver the feedback about the product. Okay, then servers and go to the using different levels of different types of survey mechanisms. You can collect feedback about your service or the product. Then you can go and visit for a service check, sales visit. You can call the customer and get data. Then through market research and monitoring also, you'll be able to collect data. Then finally, benchmarking, that is collecting data about different products of a similar of the similar category and checking with the customers also. So benchmarking is a wonderful tool. You'll be learning that in the improve phase also. Okay, then scorecards. What is the scorecards? Dashboards. So customer will be able to deliver that in online. That is a simple way of delivering the product. Simple way they will deliver the. Yes, what is happening? The scorecard is a scorecard or a dashboard helps you to identify the uh, customer feedback in a different format. Okay, that is, it will be in the form of symbols or it will be in the form of some kind of stars or something like that. Okay, which customer will provide you. Okay, when you approach them for feedback. So these types of proactive systems will help you to collect the feedback about your process, okay, about your product or service, even before the customer comes to your end. Okay, then what about this thing, the proactive or reactive element? The customer calls you, you call the bank and complain about their deductions unnecessarily. You call the car service provider and shout at him for poor service. Okay, you call the you call the broadband service provider for the poor low speeds. Okay, whenever the customer complains, that is also a reactive element. Whenever there is a problem, a service issue, there is a reactive element. Technical support call centers, most of the times they receive reactive calls from customers, customer service calls. Then obviously claim. What do you mean by claim? When a customer comes to a end and try to go for a warranty claim, free service, or try to replace a component free of cost, that is also a reactive type of approach. Okay, then credit payments, that is unnecessary deduction which has to be paid. Okay, that is suppose if you are providing a wrong service and there may be some kind of damage, so you have to pay it back. Okay, sometimes this happens. Then sales reporting, that is the product is not sold properly, the product sales volume decreases in the market, so that is also a reaction to your poor product service. Okay, then product return information, customer tries to return your product because of product quality, customer tries to surrender the service. Okay, they may move from one service to another service provider, telephone service, mobile service, broadband service, because they are not satisfied with you, right? That is also a reactive type of element. Warranty claims, that is for coming for free free services. Suppose if there is wrong within the warranty period. Okay, then web page activity. Suppose if your web page is not quite busy, okay, if it is not accessed by many people, then that also is a way of understanding that your product is not selling more and the customers are not happy. Then decreased sales, obviously, that it is an important way to identify the reactive element. Then obviously the internal complaints. What is the internal complaints? Okay, that is sometimes there may be a complaints within the organization itself from one department to another. So that the internal customer complaint is also a part of reactive system elements. Okay, so both the proactive and the reactive voice of customer is a wonderful way to collect the wonderful way to collect the list of problems that is prevent in the process. Okay, so the voice of the customer is generally not specific. Okay, it is not measurable. It cannot be understood easily. But it is your job to convert that into a more understandable, more specific, and easily measurable data. Okay, so most of the times the voice of the customer is the expressions. What is an expression, guy? You may be giving a nod, or you may be giving a emoji, or you may be giving a dissatisfied facial expression. Okay, or you might be saying uh, okay, a not relevant word. Okay, so all these are expressions. When you are not happy, you try to express it in a different manner. Right? So the voice of the customer may be generally okay in the form of expressions which may not be technical, or in the form of statements which may not be technical enough for you to grasp data from it. But you have to convert that into a measurable, understandable, and specific data so that you will be able to focus on what the customer wants and where the customer is satisfied and what satisfies the customer. You will be able to identify that. Okay, so let us see a small example. See, a customer says, we used to call the bank. Most of the times, the banks have a large queue, okay, which will make us irritated, right? Which will make us quite unhappy. So, so you may give an expression. Okay, I don't want to wait in the queue for a long time for a bank credit card section to be answered. So, okay, so that indicates, okay, a customer waiting time. That indicates a customer waiting time. What does it mean actually, guys? What is CTQ? CTQ means critical to quality. That is an important characteristics. CTQ is an important characteristics which will define the quality of your service, which will define the quality of your product. You go to the bank and you wait in the queue for a long time. Next time you won't be interested to go to the same bank and get that kind of service. For example, you are going to and you are going to a bank to get a DD, demand draft. Suppose if it takes more than an hour, next time you will look for another type of bank. So the customer waiting time is an important CTQ, which will affect the quality of the service which the organization is providing. Okay, CTQ must be defined properly. Okay, so the CTQ metrics are measurable elements. How? See, the customer says, I don't want to wait too long. Okay, I don't want to wait too long to see my account manager. That means the waiting time in your process is more. The waiting time for seeing your manager is more. The waiting time to meet a higher official in your bank is very high. So customer will not be satisfied. So that puts a brakes on one of your process. That hits your process back. So your job is to convert that expression into a CTQ. That is, customer doesn't want to wait. So obviously, that means the customer waiting time is more in your bank, it's more in your uh, particular process. So why can't you try to eliminate it? Okay, by providing a proper system, by improving a system so that the waiting time for customer to meet the accounts manager must come down, and the waiting time in the uh, phone to get the call answer also will come down. Okay, so obviously the customer waiting time and the call answering time is going to be the CTQ in these examples. So remember, CTQ is an important critical to quality characteristics that will help you to identify a that will help you to convert the expression into a measurable data. Customer irritatingly said, I don't want to wait too much in the call. So the call answering time in your process is more. The call answering time for your executive to answer the particular customer is more. You have to identify the process improvements which you have to do. Okay, are the problems which is existing in the process that must be resolved, and you have to reduce the call answering time. That is voice of the customer and CTQ concern. Any doubts, guys? Any questions? Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
In that slide, you
Sir,
highlighted
just
some
I have
feedback
one
and
doubt.
some. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, for example, internally, just I want to improve something within my function. For
Okay.
example, I want to improve my internal rejection. I want to reduce it. So
Okay.
in that case, voice of customer is not applicable, right? Or only business voice of business we have to take it. How it works? Because this is
See,
for
whether the
external
internal,
concern from customers.
okay, do you think your internal rejections are not affecting the customers? How do you believe it? Because obviously your production will be hit and your delivery time will be a defaultly more than the required one, right? You won't be able to deliver it. For example, you may be planning 1,000 products may be manufactured within 15 days. So you will fix the delivery date of around 15 to 18 days for the customer. But if the rejection is 10%, obviously your delivery time will be hit and the customer at one point will be suffering a delayed delivery because of your internal rejections. So obviously, customer is suffering because of your delayed delivery, and ultimately because your process is generating more defects. Okay, and sometimes your quality department may fail to identify certain defects, which may go into the customer hands. So all these things are possible, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, understood.
So that is apart from that, if you are monitoring a process and collecting the data regularly, you might be able to find these defects are continuously improving. Sorry, the defects are continuously increasing, and at some point, it is going to affect your production, your revenue, and profit more. So it is time to wake up and do a Six Sigma project to bring down the defects or the rejections percentage drastically. Okay, so obviously what you think is an internal problem definitely has a link to the customer end also. Because out of 10 products, one or two products may escape through your quality department and reach the customer hands. And the customer will be not happy, he'll be irate. Okay, he may raise a warranty claim, guarantee claim, or replacement, or he may go for a refund. So that obviously is a voice of the customer. That obviously will create a external problem also. In the meantime, if you are able to identify that thing in advance with the rejection percentage, and if you collect data regarding it, and if you find the problem is existing indeed for quite a long time, then it is a chronic problem. Then obviously, very quicker you have to execute a Six Sigma project to bring down the defects. Okay, through proper DMAC methodology. Got it?
Yeah. Got it, sir. Thanks.
Okay, guys. Now there is a question for you. If a customer segment complains about delay in responding to the queries, a CTQ metric that can be used to track performances. Guys, what is the answer for
Response
this?
time.
Yes, the response time
Response
is
time.
more. Yes, the response time is more. That is why the customer is complaining. Good. Customer segment complains about longer transaction. Okay, when you go to the bank, it took you long times to complete the transaction. So what CTQ, what metric can help you to track the
Transaction
performance?
time.
Transaction
Yes,
time.
Transaction time.
yes, very good. Transaction time. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now this one. Dash comes from within the business. Dash is provided by the consumer.
Option 4.
Option 4. VOB comes within the business and VOC is provided by the customer. Very good. Okay. To capture the voice of the customer, it is important to collect data from large representative sample of target base. To collect this data, Six Sigma practitioners can use
Survey
Survey
and
and
question questionnaire.
questionnaire.
a survey and questionnaires. Okay, that is a better answer. Okay, now let us go to this CTQ tree. What is this CTQ tree, guys? Actually, as I said already, a CTQ, that is a critical to quality characteristics. Okay, converts the voice of the customer into a metric. The CTQ ultimately will convert the voice of the customer into a metric. The voice of the customer is always general. Okay, we have to convert that into specific. The voice of the customer is difficult or hard to measure. We have to make it easy to measure so that we'll be able to identify what is the required metric. So let us say a customer is demanding good service, customer service. Let us say customer says, I want a very good customer service in that particular bank or in that particular car company or in that particular insurance company. What does it actually means? So, in order to convert the voice of the customer into CTQ, you need to have a drivers. The drivers are the one which will help you to arrive at the CTQs. See, for example, let us say the drivers indicate there must be knowledgeable representatives. What does it indicate? That is, if there are knowledgeable representatives, customer executives, they will be able to give the correct answer. Okay, they can answer the question asked by the customer executive on the spot. They won't say, please wait on the queue, please wait on the line so that I can get the answer. So you need to have knowledgeable customer care executives. Simultaneously, okay, if there is some difficult questions, they will research the information and return quickly. Okay, so knowledgeable representatives, knowledgeable customer care executives will help the customers to get the queries answered in a short span of time. Okay, that is what good service, that is what good customer service. Okay, that is what the customer thinks it is. Okay, then when it comes to friendly representatives, he doesn't want the representative to be quite rude or harsh or angry, right? So they must greet the customer when the customer arrives in the call. Okay, and the customer should not be interrupted while he is explaining the problem or while he is giving the feedback. Normally, the customer executive will be interrupt and say, "Sir, we have our problem sorted out. We'll come back to you within 2 days. We'll come back to you immediately." But that kind of interruption must not be there. You have to allow the customer to speak, to complain about the issue in detail, which is approached for. Okay. Then short time. What time? See, you should not place the customer on hold for too much time. Okay, sometimes you can see the customer executive putting a call on hold and getting a lot of data and coming back after 15, 20 minutes. That is not allowed, guys. So you have to understand, okay, convert the, you have to ensure that the waiting time is very short. Okay, similarly, customer transfer, suppose if you are looking for some billing details and you have reached the technical department, you should not keep the customer on hold for some time. You have to immediately transfer to the respective people so the customer is not getting irritated. So when it comes to the VOC, good customer service, the important CTQs which are identified seems to be on the right and extreme. So the drivers are the one which will help you to identify the important CTQs. Okay, this is how you can convert the voice of the customer into a measurable target. Any questions in this, guys? Guys, any questions? Are you guys there? My goodness, nobody is there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. You guys are there, but you don't have any question, huh?
Yeah, no question.
Okay, now let us see a simple example. See, a customer says, I want a quality footwear. Do you have any data here, guys? Customer says, I want a quality footwear. Whether any data is present in that particular statement, give me yes or no.
No.
No data is present, right? Then it is your job to convert that into a metric. Your job here is to convert that into a metric. How? drivers. What does the customer generally prefer? He wants the footwear. He wants the shoes to be lightweight, right? That is a reasonable weight.
Lightweight, color, comfort, right
Comfort,
size,
Good soul,
durable,
durable.
yes, discomfort, stable,
design,
shun,
modern
yes,
design.
yes, you can add many. So at the end, you have to define the weight which will keep the customer comfortable. Okay, then the height, heel height, kilometers run, which that is durable in the sense the wear and tear which it can withstand. So how much kilometers that particular footwear will be able to withstand? Then what should be the width, depth, so that it is providing sufficient room for the customer's feet. Okay, then stable, the flatness of the heels. So customer simply said, I want a quality footwear. But at the end, you can see you have a lot of metrics which you can derive from that. So you have to ensure that this metrics meet the customer requirement. Then obviously your product will be considered as a quality one and it will be preferred by the customer. So at the beginning, you can see the voice of the customer is less understandable, that's why less specific, less understandable, hard to measure because there is no quality, sorry, because there is no data, there is no metric in that, no quantitative data in that. But after you convert that into CTQ with the help of drivers, you can understand you have a lot of metrics to satisfy. Go ahead and fix a number which will satisfy the customer and work on it, then obviously you'll be able to satisfy the customer. So at the end, you have converted that into a CTQ, which is more specific, more understandable, and easy to measure. That is how you convert the voice of the customer into a more understandable, specific, and measurable data. So without measurable data, it is not possible to set a target, set a goal. So always you need a data. Sorry, always you need a metric which you can achieve, which you can perform into. So these are some of the examples of critical to quality. Yes, Mahesh, could you read and find any? Could you read and add some the points to it? Mahesh is there?
Yes, sir. So in manufacturing, the CTQ is dimensions, surface finish, strength.
So all of you guys know that people who are manufacturing, dimensions are very essential parameters, very essential metrics, which you have to look into always, right? Then in certain cases, the surface finish, in certain elements and all, the surface finish will be measured using more high precise measuring instruments like CMM. Okay. Then strength, obviously the raw material which you choose for that product defines the strength. Yes, Mahesh, please go ahead.
Yes. So in electronic industries or electronics component, RAM speed, HDD capacity, screen size.
Yes, you go ahead. Just go ahead.
Yeah. So in the same way, household appliances, what is the tonnage capacity? What is the RPM? Then FMCG, what is the fill volume? Any FSSAI norm related those things.
So obviously you can see these are all common things which we use regularly, right? When it comes to laptop or a desktop. Okay, normally we prefer a very good computer. People say I want a very high speed computer, but the RAM decides it. Okay, the processor speed decides it. So ultimately, the customer prefers to express information in quality terms, good, bad, better, best, like that. But it is our job to convert that into a CTQ, which is easily understood, which is more specific, which is easy to measure. Yes, Mahesh, you can go ahead.
Yes, sir. So then in automotive, if we consider four-wheeler, mileage, maximum speed, engine CC, in fact, we have had some more features also.
Yeah,
What
you
is
can add.
what is the connectivity system they are providing? like any other features, any panoramic sunroof, ventilated seats, those kind of sophisticated system also we can add it. Then electric
Yeah, good.
scooter, what is the range, what is the self weight, payload. Then I think we can add warranty also. What is the warranty
Warranty.
coverage customer is giving? Sorry,
Yes, battery
manufacturer is giving.
charging time. You can add battery charging time.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Battery
Then
capacity.
battery capacity. And then apart from riding, any other features, for example, what is the storage is there, any other features like wireless charging system, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Then in banking sector, what is the minimum account balance, interest rate, loan processing lead time, those kind of aspects.
Yes. So all these things can be mentioned in metrics. Do you agree with me or not? All these things can be mentioned in metrics, right? Do you
Yeah,
agree
yes.
with me or not, guys? So
Yes.
how
that is
FSSI norm can be a measurable one.
yes, FSSA norms. If you go and look into the FSSA norms, okay, the norms will be mentioned in some standard value. You have to go and check the norms in their website or in their regulation. Then you'll be able to understand what they have informed. That is, the packing must be done like this. Okay, and then the packed foods must be kept in this kind of condition, the manufactured in this kind of condition. So they will provide you that kind of information in the FSA norms. Okay, if I say IS 2160, it is just a number, but when you go and check ISI 2160, obviously it gives you a lot of information how to make that product, right? Do you agree with me? Yes, no? Yes, no, there is no. What are you guys saying?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, so that is how we go ahead with. So, obviously, what you can understand from here is the CTQs is the one which will help you to satisfy the customer. You have to rely on CTQs. Yes, voice of the customers is generally vague. Okay, least understandable. No metrics are there. Your job is to get it, convert that into a metric. Okay. So okay. So when it comes to the voice of the business, the critical to business parameters, when it comes to certain executives, financial executives, they will say this kind of CTQs. Okay, this is a concern with voice of the business. Yes, another one can try and read this. Anybody who is interested?
I'll try.
Okay, yes, Perumal, please go ahead.
Market share, a share
Yeah,
price, cash, cash. CC means is it a credit or something?
Credit card, I think.
Credit card.
yeah,
Okay. EBITDA, earning
exactly.
before interest and depreciation and tax and amortization. Gross profit margin, percentage decrease in the production to market time, unused capacity expenditures, a reduction in penalties, percentage increase in revenue.
So all this can be expressed in numbers, right? The
Yes.
customer will say, I want a very good firm which can support me in asset management, which can help me to do the investment properly. But this is how you have to understand what should be the value of market share if I have to satisfy my customer. What share price is comfortable for my customer? So all these things, percentage increase in revenue, what is my customer minimum revenue percentage increase that will keep my customer happy. So what kind of penalties can be avoided to keep my customer in a more comfort zone? Okay, so if you go and identify the numerical value which will keep the customer happy, that itself is a success. That itself is the best way to identify the project. Because if we are lagging in any of these metrics, okay, suppose if the share price is too high and customer is not coming to your organization, then you have to come to a medium mid-range share prices. Okay, that will help you to attract the customers. Okay, then the customer base will increase. So when it comes to department heads, yes, Perumal, please go ahead.
OE, overall equipment effectiveness, inventory
Oh, it's
turnover,
very important. Yeah.
faults detected prior to the failure, maintenance cost per unit, manufacturing cost per unit, mean time between failure, MTBF, overtime as a percentage of total hours, time from order to shipment, project completion rate.
So overall equipment effectiveness, the availability of equipment. See, when you go to any department heads, they are concerned about breakdown. Sir, this machinery is regularly breaking down. My production is getting killed out. Okay, so you need to convert that into a numerical value. That is overall equipment effectiveness. If it is 80% or 75%, sometimes it will be 60%. So from that you can understand the production is getting drastically affected. Okay, then inventory turnover. More inventory, that is in terms of more inventory is used. Okay, and you're purchasing lots and lots of inventory is being circulated. Okay, you can just purchase it in time and you can use it. Okay, so unnecessary turnover of inventory, unnecessary procurement of large amount of materials. Okay, raw materials are semi-finished or child parts. Okay, so they want the faults to be detected prior to failure. Okay, that is condition monitoring. Okay, so all department heads want this kind of CTBs, critical to business data. Okay, mean time between failures. So if they find the mean time between failures, and obviously they'll be happy to take a scheduled maintenance and prevent that failure. Okay, so obviously a lot of CTBs can be identified in uh, financial head, through financial head, production heads, and operational heads. So Thermal, if you want, you can just go through the operational head CTBs
Yes,
also.
I do. Process capability, work in progress, defects ratio, process cycle time, first pass yield, unit produced, operation cost, machine downtime, manufacturing lead time, MLT, tag time, and cycle time.
Okay. First pass yield. What is this first pass yield, guys?
Number of pots getting okay in the
First attempt.
First time
attempt.
right.
So most of the times, the data which you get is not the first pass yield. It is actually over processed, okay, or it is a reworked component, and the yield of the rework process also added together, and you are provided the data. Okay, sometimes the first attempt, only 60% of products will be clear without defects. And some of the products with defects will be sent back for reprocessing. Okay, so that is called over processing, which is a component of lean, which is a component of lean, which is a component of wastage. So again, that another 10 to 20 products will be reprocessed and it will be cleared. Okay, so now the overall yield goes to 80%. So people will simply say our yield is 80%, but the real first pass yield is only 60%. You are improvising it by adding more effort, more work, and investing more time, energy, and infrastructure. So, like this, many CTBs and CTQs can be identified in a process all around. Okay, so why can't we try to find it? That itself will help us lead to choose a right project. Okay, so in the initial stage of a project identification, voice of customer, voice of business. Okay, customer in the sense you have to include both the external as well as the internal customers. Okay, as I said earlier, Joseph Duran clearly explained, if we are following the internal customers concept, many of our process problems will be resolved earlier. Many of the process problems which goes to the customer end can be identified so earlier. Okay, so internal customer concept is very essential and we should keep a tag on it. Okay, so you must remember always when an internal department comes with a problem, you give importance to that so that at the end, if you don't give sufficient preference to it, at the end it may be converted into an external customer problem also. Okay, so always keep that in mind. Similarly, okay, CTQs. play an important role in converting the voice of the customer. Either it may be uh, internal customers or the external customers. Okay, you convert that into a metric so that we could understand, is there a problem or not? Okay, then comes the CTQ tree that will help you to convert the voice of the customer into a metric. So when it comes to internal customers, for example, production department will be depending on maintenance department for maintenance of machines. So who is the service provider here? The maintenance department. Who is the receiver guy here? The production department. So obviously the production department is a customer to the maintenance department. Okay. Then when it comes to production, when it comes to quality, inspection reports and quality feedback are provided by quality control department. So quality control department provides service to the production department. So they are the internal customers of quality control department. When it comes to IT department, all departments are provided systems and connectivity, LAN connectivities and services by the IT department and technical support. So obviously IT department provides service and all departments are their internal customers. So like this, your job is to identify the internal customers also. Then obviously the problem will not be transferred to the external customers. If you find out the internal customers problem and resolve it, it will not be transferred to the external customer. So at the end of the day, you should be able to identify these things: VOC, VOB, okay, and CTQ. Okay, so CTQ, which will help you to convert the voice of the customer, and VOB into a measurable, understandable, specific data. Okay, we will go to the cost of poor quality at the now. We will finish it here. So what is this cost of poor quality? See, the cost of poor quality can be categorized into two. One is cost of poor quality external failure, internal failure. What is cost of poor quality internal failure? Anybody from quality department here? Anybody from quality department?
Yes, I am a quality.
Yes.
Yes, Gauri Shankar. Yes, I am the quality.
Okay. What kind of quality process you are carrying out, and what product, whether you are product or service quality?
Product. We are manufacturing product.
Product you are manufacturing?
Yeah.
Yes, Gauri Shankar, you are manufacturing what product?
Of aircraft structural parts.
Okay, suppose if you identify some
Kavita,
flaw or
anything
defect.
that goes out of the kitchen, you know we are responsible for that,
Oh,
right?
okay.
You cannot take somebody else's ingredients to make products.
Okay. So suppose if
तुम्हें सबसे
something
फनी
is
बात बताऊं, मैंने जैसे ही लॉगिन किया है इसमें मीटिंग में, क्लास में, सबसे पहला टॉपिक पता है क्या है?
Gauri Shankar, so you are manufacturing
Yeah.
some components, right? Okay, so
Yes, right.
at the end of the day, suppose if you find some components not meeting the QAP or customer requirement, you have inspected it and you have found it. What will you do?
It could be two reasons. If any dimensions is out of tolerance, we could analyze this and we'll decide whether it's reworkable or scrap. So these two all there's a cost of poor quality.
Okay, so if the particular product can be reworked, he will send it for rework. If it cannot, then he has to scrap it. This is cost of poor quality, internal failure. That is a defect, a problem, a error has been identified internally by the quality team or by the production team or any relevant teams. Okay, so if a quality team or any relevant people who find that particular product or service to be defect, and they scrap it or send it for rework, then obviously that is internal failure. Okay, that is a lot of internal failures can be identified. Suppose if a bank faculty, if a bank staff makes a wrong demand draft, okay, or if he makes some poor, if he writes some internal assessment reports in a wrong manner, okay, which is identified by the manager. So many such internal failures can be identified. And the cost of internal failure is just the rework or the waste of time or waste of particular product. Okay, it values minimum. But when it comes to cost of poor quality external failure, okay, the price is unestimable. Last week we saw it, right? It is quite a difficult and daunting task to identify the loss, and the fathom of reputational damage cannot be estimated. So many such things have happened in the past to many large organizations. Even the Toyota, okay, then Nestle Maggi noodles, you understand it, you know it, right? Then the Foxconn cars, the US, then, then the Bharat Petroleum, BP, test rig, okay, in the North Sea, in near USA, Mexico. See, all these things informs you, instructs you one thing. See, it is better you follow the quality principles and avoid external failure. So, this cost of poor quality external failure is also one of the important ways to identify the project, to identify the problem. Got it, guys? This cost of poor quality is also an important way to identify the problem which is existing in our process. So, we have three means to identify the problem which is existing in the process. It may be the VOC, VOB, and cost of poor quality. Okay, let us see. I believe something. So generally, what we saw visibly is the tip of the iceberg. This is what people saw. Okay, just a loss of 5%, man. It's near 5%. That is what they will discuss. But at the end, this is what we are losing, guys. It is nearly 45%. It is nearly around half of the business volume, sales volume, will be eaten out by this poor, okay, external failure. The word of mouth spreads quite quickly, easily, faster when you supply a low grade product, when you supply a inferior quality service. Obviously, you'll be losing a lot of sales, which you may not be aware of, which you may not identify, but obviously it is happening on the background in the team. Okay, so you have to be quite careful with what's happening with this internal and external failure cost. You have to be quite watchful, okay, and you have to keep on following things, okay, through data, proper data. So understand that cost of external quality, cost of poor quality, external failure will hit you stronger, will affect you heavily. Okay, you should understand that. Okay. So all these things are happening to most of us, right? Sometimes you deliver a wrong product and the customer is quite unhappy, irritated, and he get back to you and smashes the product, return it back. Okay, so you might lose your reputation, your brand value sometimes. He may not come back with you. Okay, he may not come back with you with another product. Okay, so obviously these things happen. Just a moment. Okay, so we have to understand about this cost of poor quality is also a major way to identify the projects which you have to choose and resolve. Okay, so the advantage of investing on cost of good quality. Actually, there are two types of cost of good quality. There are two types of cost of quality. One is cost of good quality, cost of poor quality. Actually, the cost of quality can be categorized into cost of good quality and cost of poor quality. In cost of good quality, all costs which you invest to prevent defects, which you invest to prevent poor quality service or product can be listed out. For example, you are doing lot of um, certifications for a company. You are doing calibrations. Are these things free of cost or it is costlier? It is costlier, right? None of these things comes free, right?
Yes.
All these things you have to pay. ISO certifications, so many certifications you are trying to install, you are trying to implement TPM, you are trying to implement fibers. All these things are costlier, guys, but and you are providing training, safety training, quality training, process training. So many trainings are provided in and out every day, right? So all these things, okay, is done to keep your process safer in a quality way. Okay, So when you keep on investing in this cost of good quality for a prolonged period of time, for 1 year, 2 years, it will get you more results. It will get you more benefit. See here you can see the histogram graph. See this here you can see the failure cost is more, the one in the brown. See, you keep on investing in costs of good quality, that is training, auditing, certifications, appraisal costs, preventive costs, and other things. At the end of time, after some time, you can see the failure costs come down. So this conversion helps you to get a lot of profit. And you can see this is your benefit. Okay, so it is always good you keep on investing in cost of good quality. So when it comes to cost of quality, if you invest 1 rupee in prevention, okay, you provide a safety training, which may cost you 10,000 rupees. But at the end of the day, he will be able to avoid certain, okay, accidents. So major failure can be averted or avoided. So it is good you keep on investing in cost of good quality. So if you invest 1 rupee in good quality for prevention, it will save you 10 rupees in correction and 100 rupees in failure prevention. Okay, so that is how cost of good quality will increase your profit without your knowledge, without your ability to identify from the data. Okay, that is a good thing to do. So at the end of the day, when it comes to COPQ, COPE is eating your profit, guys. Cost of poor quality, that is defects. It is eating your profit. When you are in Sigma level 3, when you are having 66,807 defects per DPMO, it is going to eat your profit by 40%. Okay, when it comes to Sigma level 4, it eats your profit by 25%. When it comes to Sigma level 5, the profit is eroded by 15% because of cost of poor quality. So cost of poor quality is just eating your profit, eating your revenue. Why can't you reduce it? Okay, just do a Six Sigma project and move up the levels so that the cost of poor quality is claimed as your revenue. Okay, so when you reach level Sigma 1, Sigma 6, obviously your profit is 99.99966%. You must be happy with that, right? So, guys, remember, you have three important tools to list out the problems and use that as a way to resolve the problem in the process. One is VOC, VOB, and COPQ. It is important you convert the VOC and VOB into a metric through CTQ. Okay, that is what we have learned in this session. Any questions, guys? Any questions?
Nothing, sir.
Or we will go for a break and we will come back more strongly with more different tools like Pareto, and we will see it in depth, and we will see the project charter also in depth to the core.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, guys, let's take a break and come after 15 minutes. Take a break.
We'll join
Thank you.
back by 8:55.
Okay, time is now 8:40. Okay, let's come back by 8:55.
Thank
Have a
you.
dinner and come back, guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
back. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we are going one step ahead, and we are going to see how to select the project. So obviously we have listed out a lot of projects, right? That means we have identified a lot of problems. Okay, so now how to go ahead and select the project. See, already we have spoken about this y is equal to f of x. That is, y is your process output and x is your process input variable. So your process output cannot be varied on its own because it is a dependent on x variable. Suppose if you want to alter the quality of the product, you have to change the raw material. The raw material is the input. Okay, so you need to understand the business process, okay, and its consequences properly. Without understanding the business process, if you try to alter the output, okay, it may end in a disaster. We cannot alter the output. See, for example, the human body temperature will be around 99 degrees centigrade, 98.4. Suppose if the body temperature is 100 degrees centigrade, what could be the reason for it?
Various reason.
There may be some illness, sickness inside the body. As the output, the output is a symptom. The output is a symptom which increases the body temperature to 100 degrees centigrade. If you try to reduce the body temperature by immersing that person in cool water, will it work?
May work, but it may not be effective solution.
It is not a solution at all, because you cannot reduce the output. You cannot change the output directly. You have to go and work in the input. That input only can vary the output. So we need to understand what inputs are connected with the output. For example, your process output may be a single output. It may look like a single output, but at the end of the day, it is a summation, addition, integration, fusion of many outputs put together or added together. You need to understand, for example, the dimensions. Dimension is the input provided by the machinery. The quality of the material is the input provided by the raw material. Okay. Similarly, you have different types of output which is connected with various inputs. All these inputs has to be connected to the proper output. Then all the final outputs together provides your product or the service. Okay, so we need to understand that clearly. Then only you'll be able to vary the process output by changing the inputs. Okay, so we need to have a very good understanding about that. Okay, guys, I have information. So we need to Stirman, Selvan, you want to fast recordings. I think whether you got the previous week recordings, guys. Guys, do you got the previous week recordings? Yes, no? Okay.
No, I didn't get any recording.
Yeah, actually,
yes, sir, I get.
Yes, we got it. There is a link sent in the group, black belt. We can download from the Google Drive. That's what the message I got, but I did not try to download it.
Okay, please check that link, guys. Ramya, it's working?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, guys, and you can follow that. You just click on the link. People who have not seen it, please see any messages posted in the group. That will get you more information, right? Right, guys? Okay, please keep in touch if you don't have any informations. So all the informations are posted regularly. So at the end of the day, in the night, you please go ahead and check that in new informations news in the Black Belt group, so that you'll be getting all the informations in time. Okay, now we are going to speak about the Project Hopper. What is a Project Hopper, guys? So actually, do you know what is a hopper? Anybody? Recently, there was a movie called Hoppers, I believe. Anybody might have seen it.
So input fed in the, what is that, in bulk way, it is narrowed down to the channel like a funnel, which goes to the process.
Hopper is a temporary storage silo. It's a temporary storage silo. It looks like a funnel. What he said is correct. Looks like a funnel. So all the projects which you have collected through UOC, VOB, COPQ, and brainstorming is going to be put into a hopper temporarily, and it is going to be selected. Okay, so this is what we have been dealing with, right? CTQs, critical to quality, critical to business, cost of poor quality. All these things are converted into a metric, and that metric gives you a very good idea whether there is a problem or not. Okay, so this is what we have already seen. So we have a lot of projects in our hopper. Okay, so brainstorming is also able to generate lots and lots of project ideas in a short span of time. So at the end of the day, you have this much of projects. Okay, this much of, to be more precise, you have this much of problems which is existing in your different process in the plant, in the organization, in the company, in the industry. So it has been collected and put together, okay, in a sheet. Now, It is a job to identify which one is lean project, which one is Six Sigma project, which one is not at all a lean Six Sigma project. So let us look into the first. Let us see the examples and identify from the list the details of the project, which is in the hopper. Reduction of number of customer complaints from 22 per month to 10. Okay, this is a concern with the production department. So it is a Six Sigma DMAT project. Okay, customer complaints. Customer complaints are concerned with effectiveness. That means obviously it is a Six Sigma project. So what the customer is going to complain about? Defects, right? Then elimination of fuse terminal mouth open issue in wiring harness. So if you keep on going, if you go through it, you can find most of the projects are Six Sigma projects. And there is a different project here. For interestingly, if you look at project number 5, increase dryer capacity of turbine toner from 45 tons to 80 tons. It is concerned with the disconnected with the manufacturing division. Actually, you are trying to increase the capacity. That means obviously you have to go for a new design. So in this case, you have to go for a DMAT DV. Okay, so the investment is also quite high. You can see when compared to other projects, the investment is also quite high. So obviously, this hopper helps you to collect the list of projects, and it helps you to choose a project which is going to benefit you more, which is going to provide you more advantage to the organization in terms of growth, customer satisfaction, turnover, market share, long-term goal achievement, all these things. Okay, so now you have a list of 11 projects in the hopper. Then list out the projects. Similarly, you can identify a lot of projects in different sectors. These are the list of projects, Six Sigma projects in food processing and distribution. Okay, reducing the distribution costs. See, nowadays you can see a lot of people are ordering the product food through Swiggy and Zomato distribution, but in the online platform, but the distribution cost is more, delivery cost is more. So how to reduce it? Similarly, you can do a lot of Six Sigma projects in every field. Here you can see in military applications. Okay, similarly here you can see in healthcare, reducing medical errors. So that is vital, right? Then managing patients' appointments, that increases your hospital's patient satisfaction score. Lab turnaround times, the ability to produce results very quickly in the laboratory. The high priority patient service, discharge patients faster. Okay, that is when a patient is cleared out of disease, okay, or some kind of treatment, they should not wait for a long time, right? So optimizing equipments which are continuously used like MRI, CT scan. So these kind of projects are available in healthcare. So you need to understand your business in terms of you need to understand your process. That is in terms of equation y is equal to f of x. Then the quality Six Sigma, already we have spoken about this last week itself. The Six Sigma comprises all people from different management levels. Top management, they are the part of champion sponsors in the master black belts and structured a sequence of green belt, yellow belt, and white belt. See, all this ensures that employee involvement is vital for growth of any organization. Six Sigma ensures that employee involvement is made in all levels, whether he is a downmost worker or he is a topmost chairman. Everybody must be a part of the Six Sigma process. Then only methodology, then only your organization can think about continual improvement. Organization which fail to grow continually has been completely eliminated. For example, in 2000, Nokia was one of the best mobile handset manufacturers. All people are very happy using Nokia. Okay, but they fail to improve continually. Where are they now? Are you guys using Nokia now? Yes, no?
No.
Rarely, most probably no.
See, that was a quality mobile in 2000. But why you are not using? Because they have not improved continually. If any product or service is not improving continually, then obviously it will be eliminated from the market. Okay, so we have to be quite careful about this. So the Hopper helps you to collect the data, collect the projects through VOC, VOB, and COPQ. Okay, so altogether, we should be able to understand, okay, the main thing which the Lean Six Sigma focuses on is the process effectiveness. The process effectiveness is affected by three categories. That is voice of customer, which you can identify the ineffectiveness in the process, voice of business, and cost of poor quality. So these three vital tools will help you to understand the ineffectiveness in your process. The ineffectiveness in your process, it is going to affect your customer at the end of the day, and it is going to eat your process profit, revenue, and at the end of the and finally, you are going to pay with a heavy price. You are going to pay a heavy price for that. Your organization itself is going to pay a heavy price in terms of revenue loss and sometimes even closure of the organization. So we have to be quite watchful, careful about it. Now we move to the project selection. Who to select the project? Okay, we are going to see how Pareto can be used. How Pareto can be used for selecting the project. Okay, and what are the types of Pareto and stratification in Pareto. So we are going to use the Pareto. Goodness, just a moment, guys. I'm getting a call. Okay. So time is okay. So the problem is we need to stratify, okay, to understand more about the problem. We have a problem in hand, but if before selecting it, we need to understand the core of the problem so that the top management could accept there is a really a problem indeed in the problem. Okay, see, you have raised a problem which you believe is going, which is creating a lot of loss. And if you resolve it and you believe it is going to create benefits in terms of money, in terms of customer satisfaction, but the organization top management also should believe it, right? For that, you need to use this Pareto, which will help you to break down the problem so that you could understand the crux of the problem and make the top management also agree over it. Guys, could you give me 2 minutes? Okay, just give me 2 minutes, guys. I'll be back.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I sent a message in chat. See, we are connected only with that Blue Belt group, but we cannot reply anything on that group. So many of the informations are lagging. We are not able to connect rightly. Hence, I requested please share your numbers. If you wish to share, we can create a Blue Belt group only for academic purpose. Any queries or any kind of technical discussion we can have in the group, and we can disband after a academic exercise. That is simple, one humble request to everyone. So it will give a connectivity. We have the different age group of people, different industry. If you take it, I'm from the manufacturing and the process industry with 31 years of experience. I work for the glass, tire, fertilizer, and batch industry. Okay. So similarly, the various people have the various background. So let's connect and have the better academic discussion. That is the interest of this group creation. Please support whoever wish to connect. Please share your numbers. You can create a group. Thank you.
Okay, guys, sorry for the disruption. There was some disruption in the front door. Okay, so how we are going to use this Pareto to stratify our problem? That is, do a spectral classification of the problem and find out what is the core of the problem. Okay, that is what we are going to do using this Pareto. Okay, who developed this Pareto? There was a guy called Pareto, Wilfred Pareto. He developed it. Actually, if you look into this Pareto, this is a histogram graph. Yes, it is a combination of histogram as well as a graph. See, you have so many datas. You have so many datas displayed in this Pareto. That is, you can see there is a histogram bar which represents the type of defects and the number of defects. Okay, then on the left hand side, you have the count of defects. Then on the top, just bear with me. Okay, on the top, you can, on the right hand side, you can see the percentage of defects. Then here you can see a curve.
நிக்காத பாட்டு கூட இவங்கெல்லாம் பார்க்கும்போது பிடிச்சு போகும் இந்த பாட்டு.
I am muted it. So on the top, you could see a curve. This curve represents a cumulative percentage of defect. So this graph is quite informative. It has a lot of information about the type of defects and the count of defects, which is represented by the histogram, and the accumulative curve, which provides you a detail about the percentage of errors put together, percentage of this faults put together, percentage of defects put together. Okay, so it gives you a lot of information in a simple graph. Okay, so it also gives you a very simple thumb rule. What is the thumb rule? The thumb rule states 80% of problems are created by 20% of factors. Guys, do you get me? 80% of problem is created by 20% of defects, 20% of factors, X factors. Okay, for example, let us take all of us are students at some point of time in your life, right? See, in a class, if you took only 5 to 10 boys, will be creating 80% of the problems nuisance. Do you agree with me? Yes, no.
Yes.
Yes.
See, if there are 60 students in the class, not all the 60 will be naughty and creating a lot of nuisance. Only out of 60, if you take 5 to 10 boys, they will be creating all kinds of trouble. If you eliminate the 10 boys, the class will be reduced by the class nuisance and indiscipline activities will come down to 10%. Do you agree with me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so that is what Pareto said. 80% of loss is created by 20% of defects, 20% of factors, X factors. 80% of problems in a process is generated by nearly only 20%. So even though you have 10, 15 problems existing in your process, if you get a Pareto chart, if you develop a Pareto chart, you can identify only 2 or 3 factors are contributing to the 80% of the problems. So instead of solving all the problems, if you try to resolve all the problems, it may get you need a lot of resource and time. So why waste it? Just identify the problems which creates 80% of the problems or around 80%, so that when you resolve those 2 or 3 problems, the process improves its effectiveness by 80%. The process efficiency increases by 80%. That is what Wilfred was trying to convey. Okay, how this is helpful for us team. See, instead of focusing on all the 10, 15 problems, our team will be able to focus on the problem which is more beneficial, which is more relevant for the organizational growth. So obviously, it will help you to prioritize the problems which you have to work on, which you have to focus on. So teams confusion or chaos in the mind will be eliminated. Then also this Pareto can be used in the analyze phase to prioritize the causes. Then finally it can be used in the improve phase also to prioritize the solutions also. So out of the largest number of problems which is existing in the hopper, this Pareto can be helpful to choose the problems which are most beneficial when you solve it. Okay, that is how this Pareto is going to help you. How to draw a Pareto? For that, we are going to take an example. Okay, I believe we had an. Just a moment, guys. We had another sheet for this. Sorry. I trying to get a more explicit version of this Pareto. Yes, I had some calculations made for this Pareto. So I thought that could give you more. Yes, I share. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Okay. So we did a project in a particular concern, which is doing a lot of which is creating a lot of garments, which is making a lot of garments. Okay, so what we did is first we collected this data. First we collected this data. What does the data does actually? This is the data which we collected. Okay, this is the data which we collected. That is the about the defective buttons and about the loose threads and the misaligned fabric. Because of this, nearly 492 garments are rejected every month. 492 garments are rejected every month. So imagine, let us say every garment costs 1,000 rupees. So what is the loss per month for that particular concern? So what is the loss for the concern for a month? It is 492,000, right? 492,000 garments are being rejected. So ultimately, it comes around 5 lakhs. Ultimately, it comes around 5 lakhs per month. So obviously, in a year, it comes to around nearly 60 lakhs. So if you identify the major chunk of problem which contributes to this loss, you could save nearly around 30 to 40 lakhs so that the revenue increases by that particular percentage, 70 to 80%. Okay, so that is what Pareto is going to do. So this is the data which we collected. So the government company is having a lot of rejections. The rejection is probably based on a lot of chats. Okay, something is going on in the chat. Okay, the rejections, okay, is probably because of the following defects, okay, which you could see on the screen. Okay, the defect buttons, fabric misalignment, fabric strains, stitching defects, hemming defects, and coloring defects, all these things. Okay, and what we are going to do is we are going to develop a Pareto. So when you are going to develop a Pareto, we can do it manually, okay, or using this Pareto or using an Excel sheet. So what you have to know is first you need to list out the defects, then arrange that in the declining order, that is higher to lower one. Here if you arrange it, or which one will be the first? Defective button will be the first. Then comes the stitching defects. Okay, then comes a loose thread, then obviously followed by hemming defects, then fabric, then misaligned, then coloring schemes. So you are arranging that in the descending order from higher to lower. And after that, you go ahead and calculate the percentage of every defect individually. Okay, every defect individually. So what is the total number of defects? It is 492. After adding up, we found it is 492. Then, okay, I am not zooming. 492. So we go ahead and divide 217 by 492. It comes to 44%. So out of 100, 44 percentage defect is because of defective button. 44 percentage of shirts or 44 percentage of garments is rejected because of defective button. Then comes the stitching defects. What is the number? 112. 112 divided by 492. It comes to 22.8. Then 67 divided by 492, 13. 43 divided by 492, 8.7. Like this, we go on. We calculate the individual defect percentage. And after that, you add all of them in a accumulative manner. That is the first point, let it be 44. Second one is 44 plus 22. Third one is 44 plus 22 plus 13. That comes around 80. So you go ahead and add like this and find the cumulative percentage. Now it's time for us to plot it. Okay, how? So you can see here the defective button that has a maximum number of defects. So how much defects at the bottom you can see, right? It is 217. It is 217. So you draw a histogram for 217. Then comes the stitching defects. So you have to ensure that it is arranged in a descending order. Stitching defects as 112. Okay, so it is 112 here. Then loose thread, it is 67. Hemming defects, it is 43. Fabric stress, it is 23. Misaligned fabric, it is 18. Closing, coloring errors, it is 12. So the histogram represents the histogram represents the defects in a decreasing trend, in a decreasing order. Okay, now let us go to this curve. How to draw this curve? We have calculated the cumulative percentage of each defect, right? So 0.1, where the defective button is, the cumulative percentage is 44.1. Then the stitching defects is, and the cumulative percentage at the stitching defects point is 66. Then the third one is 80. Fourth one is 89. Fifth one is 93. Sixth one is 97. South one, last one is 100. So if you look into this, okay, we need to convert this into. I lost this every time when I minimize it. Okay, so if you add these three defects together, what is the percentage of total defects? What is the percentage of contribution of these three defects in the total? Guys, are you
Almost,
there?
we are not able to see the
80.5.
Almost 80.5. Yes, it is
80.
equal to 80.5, not even almost. It is 80.5. So that indicates instead of focusing on all the problems, you just focus on these three, your process effectiveness will improve by 80%. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me or not?
Yes.
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 So your problems are prioritized. Don't focus on everything. Focus on these three problems. Okay, so that your loss is nearly 5 lakh rupees per month because of 492 garments. Each garment costs around 1,000 rupees. So if you could eliminate 80% of defects, that is nearly 4 lakh out of 5 lakhs, then you are saving 48 lakhs out of 60 lakhs. So if you put this kind of project if you put this kind of prioritization project graph in your with your top management, they will be very happy. They understand, yes, actually there is a problem, and this problem is eating chunk of your profit. So this profit can be retrieved, okay, recovered by resolving these three problems, not by all these problems. We are least bothered about these problems because they contribute less to the revenue. But these three problems is eating up your revenue, 80%. Prioritize them. Okay, that is how project Pareto chart helps you to prioritize the projects. Okay, so this is the same thing. Now we go to the stratification. What is this stratification? See, the first one is called the defect Pareto. What we have drawn earlier is a defect Pareto. A defect Pareto just provides you a basic idea where the defects are accumulated more. Okay, now it is time for us to understand more about the defect which is contributing more to your injections. Okay, now where the defects are occurring more. If you look at if you just study this defect Pareto, you could see the defective button contributes by 44% to the problem. Okay, this is a major defect which contributes by nearly 50%. So we took the defective buttons and we tried to identify in which particular garment does the defective button rises. See, you could see in shirts, it is nearly 68%. In chudidas, in shirts, it is 68%. Chudidas 10, and kurti also 9, and overcoat around 6, then frock 5, then pants 5. So if you look at the defective buttons problem, the defective buttons occurs more in shirts. So don't bother about this other garments. Just focus on your shirts division. That will help you to eliminate the defects by 50% all of a sudden. Because the defect button is responsible for 50% of the injections. Got it, guys? Now, this is the level 1 stratification. This is level 1 stratification, trying to understand the crux of the problem, the core of the problem, so that we could deep dive and identify the reason. Identify the reason clearly. Okay. Something is okay. Now let us go to level 2. This is level 1, guys. Already we have dealt with it. So now we found that the defective button is the one that caused 44% ejections, and that defective button 2 is occurring regularly in shirts by 68%. Now let us deep dive into that. Okay, what type of defective button faults occur in shirts? See, misalignment type of defective buttons, damaged buttons, and poor stitching. So the defective button in shirts are occurring because of misalignment and damage and stitchings. So now you could understand this misalignment is causing more trouble rather than defective buttons. In the defective button, it is a reason for major defective button issue. So now you could understand not just defective button, the shirts is having more defective button issue, and that too because of misalignment. So this Pareto helps you to understand the core of the problem, the crux of the problem very easily. So now the team could focus on what is required, what should be focused on without any diversions. This is how stratification helps you to understand more about the problem. Got it, guys? Are we clear? Any questions? Any questions, guys? Any questions? Guys, any questions?
No, sir.
So we have another similar example. Okay, in a bank, okay, there is a lot of defects rising in documents. Okay, there is type of defects occurring in a bank. Incorrect loan amount comes to 45, missing documents 70, wrong customer details, delayed, system error, signature, interest calculation, duplicate entry. So we have to arrange this in a descending order. Okay, this is how we will arrange it in a descending order. And we found that it accumulates to 275. The total number comes to 275. Okay, now if you calculate the individual percentage and cumulative percentage, it looks like this. So you could convert this into a Pareto easily, and you could find that the top three, okay, which contributes to 80, nearly 65 percentage of the errors is the missing documents, delayed approval, and incorrect loan amount. So if you just focus on these three important things, three defect types, your bank customer satisfaction improves drastically. Okay, you can see here these three defects contributes to 63 percentage of defects. So instead of focusing on all errors, all defects, just focus on these three. Customers are happy. More customers will come to your bank. That is how you can use the defect Pareto. Okay, and stratification Pareto can be used further to understand the problem more. Okay, now what are the limitations of Pareto? See, the defect Pareto depends on the number of frequency of the errors, number of frequency of the defects. Sometimes it may mislead you how the errors which are occurring frequently more number of times may not be yield may not yield you the expected results. What does it mean? See, some errors may occur frequently, but it may not have cost impact. It may not have the cost impact which you desire. So you have to go to the cost Pareto or the weighted Pareto to understand more about this selection of the project. Okay, that is what I said earlier. Most frequent occurring defects has no impact on the cost. May not see, for example, let us say you are driving to your office on a two-wheeler. Let us just assume. Okay, in certain area the roads are quite bumpy, quite not good. So frequently, once in a month, you have to replace your speedometer. Once in a month. So at the end of the year, how many times you would have replaced the speedometer? Speedometer cable? At the end of the year, how many times?
12.
12 times. Every time you spend 200 rupees. So obviously it is 2,400 rupees at the end of the year. But yearly once there was a problem in the engine, which cost you around 10,000 rupees, which has to be given more importance. Guys, which has to be given more importance, engine problem or speed?
Engine problem.
But here in the defect Pareto, we are choosing based on numbers. That is most frequent. So as per defect Pareto, 12 is bigger, so it comes in the front. But as per cost, this one-time engine defect is costlier, so it must come in the top. Okay, so when you select the project problem based on the count alone, it may not get you the desired results. So you have to go for weighted Pareto, which uses a cost. You have to go for weighted Pareto, which you have to use the cost. Okay, not the numbers alone. Do you guys understand? Agree with me? Do you guys understand
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Any questions in this? Okay. Then weighted Pareto will be using the cost. You just multiply the numbers by weight, numbers by cost. For example, I said the speedometer cable breaks down once in a month, so 12 times a year. It costs around 200 rupees. So I multiply 200 into 12 and put it in the Pareto chart. It comes around 24,000. Sorry, 2,400. Okay, but 2,400, sorry. But the engine problem occurs once in a year. It costs me 10,000 rupees. So if you draw the Pareto as per the cost, so 1 into 10,000 is 10,000. Which one will be coming first? The engine or the speedometer cable?
Engine.
Engine. So when you convert that numbers into a cost by multiplying it with the cost, okay, it will get a real weighted Pareto. Now you can decide based on the cost impact. Okay, that is called weighted Pareto. Then comes the before after. You already know about the stratified Pareto, right? Then comes the before after Pareto. What is before after Pareto? That is before implementing the solution or before implementing the changes. What is the defect level? And after doing that, what is the defect numbers? Was there any difference in them? In order to highlight the difference, we are using the before after Pareto. Okay, what is the percentage of errors, defects before the solution was implemented? What is the percentage of errors after the solution was implemented? Whether there is a reduction in it. We are trying to find that. So this is all about Pareto. Okay, Pareto helps you to prioritize the defects. Okay, so we can use stratified Pareto to get to the core of the problem. We can use weighted Pareto to identify which problem, which defect is having more cost impact. Okay. So at the end, stratification helps you to understand the problem to the core, to the root level. Okay. So now we have completed two steps in define phase. First one is identifying the problems. Then next one is selection of the problem. Then finally, we have to convert this into a project charter. We have to convert this into a report. That report is called the project charter. So what is a project charter? We will see it one by one. And what are the elements of the project charter? The project charter has 6 elements, guys. One is a business case. Okay, we are going to see it in detail. Then followed by a problem statement, which is going to give you the pain statement, which is normally we call as pain statement, which pins the pain of the customer organization. Goal statement, obviously the one which we have to reach. Scope statement about the inclusiveness and exclusiveness in the timeline. That is the time required for every phase and the details of the team members. This is the 6 elements which we are going to see. Okay, what is a business case? For example, let us say, let us pull somebody. Let's say Thermal is a general manager. This manager comes up with the project proposal. What will you ask him, Thermal?
Sorry. Can you?
See, you are a head of the particular plan. Your
Okay.
manager comes up with the project proposal. He says this will do that. What will be the first question you ask him?
First is the data. What kind of various issue and frequency are the impact on that? Then we'll ask for the
You
justification
have to
written
ask
on
only one question. You
written
have
on
to ask. You have to ask only one question.
Cost impact,
what
Budget.
cost impact in business,
Cost impact.
cost impact in business.
Okay. Any other questions?
You'll ask
Turnover,
what is the problem you want to solve.
What is the problem you want to solve?
Benefits we are
as
going
a
to achieve by this project.
I will ask what's the
Sir, what is
financial
the
impact of
timeline of the
current
project?
problem?
Why this project is important for organization?
very simple. Why this project is important for my company? That's it. What he said is correct. Why I have to choose this project? Why what benefit this project is going to bring to my organization? Why I have to support this project? Why my organization has to support this project? So this is what you have to explain in the business case. So in the business case, you have to give metrics. That metrics must explain the reason why should the organization select or accept this project. What is the benefit for the organization when they do this project? That is a important data which should, that is an important metric which must be explained in the business case. For example, here you can see at the end there is a data. We can say 40 lakhs annually. This is the ultimate reason for project selection by the top management. See, if you have to accept, if your top management has to agree the particular report, if they have to approve the particular project report, it must have a clear-cut metric which pins them why they have to choose it. There must be some proper financial benefit or some kind of intangible benefit in terms of sigma level or in terms of customer satisfaction like that. So, here is a statement from a particular period of 21 to 22. Okay, the rejections were 2.8%. So, if you reduce it to 1%, we can say 40 lakhs annually. That will motivate, encourage the top management to get this, to provide approval for this project report. Right, guys? That is the only thing which motivates them. Do you agree with me? Yes, no? Nobody agrees. So, we will drop the project. Guys, do you hear me? Yes, no?
Yes, we agree. We have to
Yes,
go
yes,
in
Yes,
the
we
we
agree.
monetary benefit or the financial impacts.
Yes,
That is
obviously. So your business case must explain the monetary benefit which the organization is going to get. Okay, so you must have a clear information for that. Then only they will approve your project. Then comes the problem statement. The problem statement must explain the pain which is experienced by the customers, organization people. Okay, either it may be VOC or VOB, either internal or external customers. It must, okay, describe, it must, okay, explain the pain. What kind of pain? The customers are really having so much rejections and they are sending the products back. It is creating a problem for them to provide the assembled products to the consumers. So it must explain the pain. Both the internal and external customers pain must be explaining the problem statement in terms of numerical data. So here you can see rejection is 2.8 percentage. So the cost, because of that, the cost of poor quality is 40 lakhs. It may be internal or external. Okay. Apart from that, the customer dissatisfaction is increasing, and poor 5 shop floor score also reflecting. So okay, so this, the important thing is the organization is losing 40 lakhs, okay, annually. So we have to look into that seriously because 40 lakhs is not a simple money. It's large money. So this reflects the pain which the stakeholders are facing. Their profit is getting eliminated. 40 lakhs of their profit is getting swallowed by the rejections. Okay, so this explains the pain. And the goal statement. The goal statement must be always smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. How? Always your goals must be very clearly mentioned in metrics. Okay. So, what is the metric? Achieve that 3.8 sigma level from current 3.4. See, at current, your organization sigma level is 3.4. Go for 3.8. It is specific and it is measurable. Obviously, you can identify, you can measure it using DPMO. And apart from that, whether it is achievable, obviously it is clearly achievable. 3.4 to 3.8 to from 3.4 is well achievable, well within the target. It is not 3.4 to 6. If you say we will achieve 6 from 3.4, that is not achievable. So it is well ahead and achievable. Relevant. Was this target relevant to our organization? Yes, because the DPMO comes down when you reduce the when you improve the sigma level from 3.4 to 3.8. So 65% of the current rejections, okay, will come down. Is it relevant? Okay, it's relevant, obviously. Time bound. So next there is a statement. In the statement, so in the first statement itself, we have a time bound. That is 180 days, 6 months. In the second, there is another example which says the employee motivation survey scores from the current 40 to 70%. So currently the employee satisfaction motivation score is 40. We have to improve to 70%. That is well ahead, achievable, well and good. It is in an achievable range. Okay, it is relevant to your organization because employee motivation must be more so that the organization, the people work there will be motivated to do the job. Okay, then next one is time bound. That is in which period? In the third quarter. Okay, third quarter means from July to September. In this period, you have to improve this employee motivation score. So always ensure you make a goal statement which is having specific metrics and which is measurable. Measurable in the sense it must be a measurable parameter. Okay, then obviously it must be achievable one. You cannot fix unachievable targets, and it must be having it must have connectivity to the organization growth and problem resolutions. And apart from that, it must be time bound. That time must be clearly, specifically mentioned in the goal statement. Then comes the scope statement. The scope statement clearly describes the inclusiveness and exclusiveness of the project. So here there is a scope statement. The scope can see there was an example. Okay, so about the rejections which is happening in a particular component. The rejections of the component is happening because of many reasons, but the rejections which they consider is length undersize rejections and cup bulb D-shaped rejections. Apart from this, there are so many other rejections. Okay, we are least bothered. We are not worried about other things. The only scope which we consider, the only thing which we include in our project is these two rejections. Because these two rejections may be more, it may be contributing to nearly 80% of the rejections. So we take only these two problems, only these two rejections. We exclude the remaining. We are least bothered about other. So all other rejections. We are bothered only about what? Defective button and poor stitching. We are not bothered about other things. Okay, so we have to include this defective button and poor stitching, and all other rejections are not included. We are not going to bother about them. That is scope statement. The scope must clearly explain what is your physical layout and boundary, what is included and what is excluded. Okay, that must be clearly mentioned. Otherwise, it will cause unnecessary difficulties and complexities in the project while you are progressing. So you have to be very clear with the scope of your project in timeline. So you have to provide a timeline when the project is going to start, when it's going to end, from define phase to control phase and completion date. A proper timeline with the percentage of completion must be regularly updated. Then finally, the team members. The team members has to be selected based on the merit and based on their knowledge and expertise. Most probably a cross-functional team must be there. Okay, so who can be a part of this team? Sponsors, key stakeholders, sometimes even the client side also can be a part of the project. And team members, then SMEs, subject matter experts. So selection of team has to be done very carefully. Okay, because you need to choose, you cannot have a large team. You have to have a team who is well aware of the problem, who have sufficient knowledge about the problem also. Okay, and they must be ready to contribute, and they should be having good knowledge about the Lean Six Sigma. Okay, at least they must be a yellow Belgian or a green Belgian. That will help you to execute the project easily. Okay. For example, here there is a small project data. The title is Reduction of Laboratory Testing Errors. So obviously you can see the VOC, it is arrived from a VOC because patients are regularly complaining about poor incorrect lab results. Okay, that creates unsafe conditions and the hospital reputation are also at a stake. So we are trying to bring down the percentage of error from 2.5 to 6 in 6 months. Okay, this is a goal statement. What is the scope statement? What are the testing areas we are including? CBC, biochemistry, urine analysis. Then what is excluding? Pathology test. That is tests which are connected with bacteria, virus, and other things. Then what is the main CTQ which we are focusing on? Accuracy of the test results. Okay, and timely reporting patients along with patient safety. So finally, who is going to be on the team? Hospital director, he's a process owner, and lab management team members. Okay, and 3 lab technicians, quality assurance officers, and IT analysts. We have these people are involved with the lab test results. Okay, then the timeline is for 6 months. So what is the benefit at the end of the project? Your accuracy is going to improve. The accuracy is going to improve. So the errors are going to drop by 0.5 percentage. So that results in improved customer satisfaction, patient safety, and reduce rework. Okay, so that is how you can develop a project charter. So we have many such examples which I have developed. This is also on real-time project charter. Here, this is a business case. The business case explains. So if you read it, you can see there is a root cause. We are trying to ensure that the root cause of welding repair of our various joints identified as defects are analyzed to take appropriate correction and corrective actions to minimize the defects. Okay, so what is happening actually? The visible cost associated with the repair of reweld of 70 joints is around 300. Okay, 3,500. So obviously 50 per joint. So our objective is reduce the repair joint to 0 and save rupees 3,500 per day. So this is the business case. You are going to save 3,500 rupees per day at the end of the day. So what is the pain statement or opportunity statement? The pain statement or opportunity statement says that out of 15,542 well joints, 122 were rejected. 122 were identified as repairs when you do a radiography testing. So the overall rejection is 0.78 percentage, and due to porosity 0.45 percentage. Because of porosity, a lot of rejections are happening. So it creates a bad image on the organization. So this is the pain statement. So what is the goal statement? We try to bring down the rejections from 0.5 to 0 percentage. The target date of 31st month. So it is a well achievable smart goal. So what is the scope? We are concerned only about the particular weld on particular grade pipe, not about the other welds. Okay. So out of 350 joints, 70 joints are rejected. So we are going to work on that particular fit up weld joints. Okay. So we are least bothered about other joints. So what is the project plan? What is the timeline? It starts by 21st February and ends by 31 March 22. So this is the timeline which clearly mentioned. So the team selection is made on the following basis. Okay. Okay, this is how you develop a project charter. And this is how you may have a team like this, the team structure. You can see the project principal consultant, equipment consultant, team members, core team members, and all these informations can be provided like this. Similarly, you can have an ID card which provides the roles and responsibilities of every person who is in your team member. Then finally, you can have a project schedule like this. A simple chart. Okay, which can help you to identify the timeline of the project in a graphical manner. So the project charter is a living document, guys. What do you mean by living document? It stays updated. It is continuously updated, okay, throughout the project. Until the end of the project, it is updated. Okay, so the project charter has 6 elements, starting with business case, problem statement, scope statement, goal statement, timeline, followed by team members. So you must be very clear in this project charter, because this project charter must be properly approved by the top management, signed and authorized. Then only you have the permission to progress in the project. Okay, so ensure everything is explained clearly, including the scope, goal statement, business case. Okay, then only you won't have any problems while the project is in progress. Any questions about project charter, guys? Any questions from your end?
One confusion on the project sponsor and the project leader. Here we are talking about the project sponsor, then it goes to the project owner. Ideally, in a CFT approach, someone will be leading the project. So, how do you, the sponsor cannot do the leading job? You can give all the support.
Okay, agreed. No problem. It is up to you to decide your project team. There is
Okay.
no, see, just for an
Standards.
example, we have posted it. Okay, you can choose your project team. If you are the head, choose your project team with the top management approval. No questions asked. Because the ultimate aim, objective is to get the project done, eliminate the problem. Okay, get the process in the right path. Choose relevant, required people who are highly connected with it. That's it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, any other questions? Okay, then we go for an interesting topic. SciPark. What is a SciPark? The SciPark is a high-level process map, guys. My goodness, this goes back to the same old story. The SciPark is a high-level process map. What does it mean by high-level process map? See, there are different people with different kind of knowledge in our team. So these people must be able to understand the various activities that is happening in our process. Various activities that is happening in our process. Okay. So SciPark stands for, it is an acronym. The acronym stands for supplier, input, process, output, and customer. So we must understand what are the various inputs, who are the suppliers, and what is happening in the process, and what is the output, and who are the receivers of this output. Okay. So now if you look at this simple example of making a photocopy, So one of you can go through, read it, the suppliers. Who are the suppliers? One of you who is interested.
Copier, supplier, manufacturers.
Okay.
Suppliers, paper.
If you understand anything, you could go on and explain. What is a manufacturer? What does a manufacturer represent here?
The manufacturer who makes paper, photocopy machine.
Yes.
Manufacturer who makes photocopy or Xerox required.
Owner. Then you are going to make a copy. So you are also a supplier there. Then the machine uses electricity. So the electricity board also is also a supplier. So when it comes to a process, you should understand the various inputs and who are the suppliers of the various inputs. So imagine for making a photocopy, okay, you could see you need different accessories, components, and things. So everything is provided by a supplier. So all these suppliers will be brought to the screen, to the picture. So our process team will understand what is happening in the process. What are the various inputs in the process? Who supplies it? Now, the suppliers are providing these inputs. Now, the next one is a process. Process is making a photocopy, making a Xerox copy. So what is happening in the process? Actually, you open the glass and put your original on the glass. close the glass lid of the Xerox machine, adjust the settings to your requirement, press the start, and you got the original and you got the copy. So that go ahead and remove the original and the copy. This is the process step which is happening in the making of photocopy. So now what is the output? The output is just the copies of the original. Who is receiving it? You may be receiving it. You may be are putting it in a file, or you may be displaying it in a notice board, or you may be displaying it in some display board. So SciPark helps you and your team to understand the process, input, supplier, okay, output, and consumers in a bird's eye view, so that if you identify any CTQ, you will be able to connect that CTQ with the proper input and the proper supplier, and you'll be able to travel from there onwards in a correct route. Okay, so SciPark helps you to understand the process activities in a bird's eye view. It is not going to give you more specification. It is not going to give you any metrics, but you'll be able to understand the activities and the steps that is happening in the process, so that your team gets a clear picture about the particular process. Are we guys clear about this? Easy? Any questions? Okay, so you have a yes, Magesh, what is your question?
Yeah, sir. Sorry, sir.
No problem.
I pressed by mistake. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. So, guys, we have seen some important content today, right? So, we have seen how to select the projects using VOC, VOB, COPQ. Okay, then how to go ahead and that one is identification. How to go ahead and select it using Pareto. Either you can go by defect Pareto, which relies on number, or you can go by stratified Pareto, which helps you to understand the problem to the root level, or you can go by weighted Pareto, which just multiplies the numbers by the cost, so that you can actually have the impact of the cost on the particular impact of the problem, okay, based on cost. Then finally, you are able to arrive at a prioritized list of problems which you have to choose and work on it. Always remember, if you solve 2 or 3 problems, you'll be able to bring down the inefficiency by 80%. So your process will be healthier and efficient. So obviously, this is how you have to prioritize the projects. Then finally, once you have selected the project, you have to convert that into a report, which is called the project charter. The project charter will be having 6 elements: business case, problem statement, goal statement, scope statement, timeline, and team members. Okay, ensure that you write down the proper metrics so that the top management is clearly aware of what is your goal and what is the area you're going to focus on what is the inclusion and exclusion. And better be have a correct timeline and choose the correct team members. Then finally, in order to ensure that the team members understand the entire activities and the various input and output of the process, you have to develop a SciPark. Okay, the SciPark helps you to understand the process activities, where it starts and where it ends, and what are the project boundaries. That's it for today's discussion. Any questions, guys? Any questions from your side?
Is SciPark related to standard operating procedure? I'm not saying related to that, but the various process undergone, right? To whom it is actually beneficial. So,
Yeah, as I said earlier, see, you may be forming a cross-functional team. Okay, you may be forming a cross-functional team. So the cross-functional team must be aware of the various activities, process steps that is going in your process. Okay, so it clarifies the scope of the process, helps to understand how a process works before analyzing the details. As I said earlier, there is no parameters, there is no specifications in the SciPark. So it helps your team because your team is newly formed. They may not have sufficient knowledge in that process. So a team must be given some view, some flow. Actually, it is a flow chart like thing, guys. So when you see a flow chart, you will understand what are the various activities which is happening in a sequence, right? It is a similar thing. Okay, this is a similar thing. So it helps your team members to understand what are the various steps Okay, in the process, okay, which you have to do before analyzing. See, actually, while you are going for analyzing, you'll be having a lot of details, lot of data, lot of information in the form of metrics. But when it comes to SciPac, no data, no quantitative data, just the flow of the process in terms of customer, in terms of supplier, in terms of input, in terms of output is given in a flow chart. So when you look at the SciPac, you understand what is the input in the process, what is the output, who supplies the input, who receives the output, and what are the process steps that is happening. Just a bird's eye view of the process activities is provided in the SciPac. It is not a standard operating procedure. It is the present activities which is happening in the process is laid out in the form of a flow chart. But the flow chart is restricted to input, output, supplier, consumer. That's it. Got it? As I said, it is simply a bird's eye view. It is simply a bird's eye view of a process. It shows who provides what and what happens and what is produced and who receives it. Okay. So it doesn't bother us about the details here. It is just the workflow steps. It is just the workflow steps. Okay, it creates a simple understanding among the team members. That is the objective. Our team members must be aware of what is happening in the process. That's it. Got it?
Yes.
Any other questions? Or we go and break.
Thank you for the session with the started with the flow and ended with the recap. Thank you very much.
Any other queries, guys, from your side?
Sir, just one suggestion from my side.
Yeah.
Now you have started how to sort out the problem through Pareto and how to make the project charter and all.
Yeah.
It would be very helpful, suppose if you give some particular problem and let our guys to work out up to project charter. Because now we have seen theoretically, when we prepared, at least we will get more idea. So if you give any such a
Obviously,
case study, then it would be useful.
yes, you have a case study at the end of the green belt and the black belt.
Oh,
So
okay.
your feedback is accepted, and you'll be having it. Most
Yeah,
probably, you'll be having a case study. Okay,
Okay,
at the
okay,
end
sir.
of the green and the black belt.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions, guys?